Hi, everyone, and thank you for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Um, I wanted to talk about me, my personal self. I just want to let fill you guys in on some things about me. Uh, as most of you may or may not already know, my birthday is October 31st, 1974. Okay. Well, I happen to be born with a hereditary disease called tuberous sclerosis, TSC for short. You can find information all about it on the internet. What had happened is when I was about 3, maybe 4 months old, my mom and my sister were outside. I was in a baby carriage, sort of a windy day, and I don't know what happened. My sister looked away or got sidetracked. I don't know which. And where the baby carriage was sitting was like on a slight hill, so the wind grabbed it and rolled it down. And somehow I fell out of the baby carriage and I hit my head on some little rocks. What had happened there is I had wound up having like seizure attacks. And therefore, my dad being in the military, I used to fly by C9. In the American world, it is a DC-9, but in the military world, it is a C9, and it was a medevac plane. And I used to fly on that, and I would go to Wiesbaden and get seen once a year. And I would get CAT scans and things like that, to see my progress. And I was going virtually every year, every year, every year, every year. Well, finally, when I was about, I guess, just shy of 4 years old, July 24th, 1978, they finally went ahead and put a name to what I had, which happened to be tuberous sclerosis. That's the condition, that they diagnosed me with. So I was on phenobarbital, along the way. And eventually it got to the point a few years later where I got off the phenobarbital. Keep in mind, I was on phenobarbital before 1978. It didn't just start in 78. It was, probably more or less like 75 or in that time frame, or 76 when I was, smaller. Um, the condition in my case, I have what you see on my face, the growth. I also have it on the back of my neck. I have it a little bit on my abdomen. Since I've gotten older, I do have two lesions on my left lower leg indicating tuberous sclerosis, but as I've gotten older, it's gotten less and less to where you can see it. In addition, in the back of my left eye, I also have a tumor right where everything comes together. In my right eye, when I was about 27, I developed a tumor. It's a tumor. It's got a name, astrocytic hamartoma. At the time, I didn't know what happened. It started bleeding. At the time, I wasn't sure. I thought I had a detached retina, so I was sent to a specialist. My eye doctor sent me to a specialist. That wound up not being the case, thank goodness, because I could still see light out of it. So what I had to do is I had to sleep with my head elevated so the blood can drain. So it did that, and it intermittently bled off and on, off and on. And in 2007, I had a laser procedure done on the bottom and on the top. Keep in mind, I also have a cataract back there, but because of the tumor, my eye doctor does not want to chance anything. He wants to leave it alone. I'm left with 2400 vision back there, meaning, or in other words, legally blind. So the only thing vision wise I have going for me is my left eye. And my left eye is also taking care of what I would do on my right, which means if I want to see something to my right, I just have to turn my head and look that way, which is not a big deal. I have gotten used to doing that in the last almost 20 years. Um, do keep in mind also that my condition also has been known to have a tendency to affect the organs, the heart, the lungs, um, the eyes, which it already did, the kidneys. So it's not really, a disease or a condition that I myself would want to wish on anyone. Um, you know, I do know that based on 1978, information, that this disease shows up once every seventh generation. Now, I don't know if in 44 years, if that's spread out even more, or if it's further apart, or if it's more frequent. I don't know that. But I do know that it is a condition that I would not want anyone to have. That's why I opted. It's not that I don't like children. Don't get me wrong. I do love children. But I myself opted not to have any children. One, because it is a 50-50 chance. I didn't want my child being at risk, possibly having it. And I would not want my child, male or female, to go through what I had to deal with when I was coming up and being a little boy and, in my preteens and all that. Now, do also keep in mind that the doctor did say that the most critical time for me when it comes to this condition would have been my teen years. Well, that was a pretty good while back. Um, you know, I turned 20 years old in 1994. So even though that's still just a little bit shy of being a legal adult, that's that's still a pretty good ways back. What, 28 years now? But I went through a lot coming up as a child. Nothing I would ever want to see any other child go through. I think part of my condition also made me have some difficulty in school, especially in the reading comprehension department, because I could read a couple of 3, 4 pages or whatnot. And at the end of that particular chapter, or what you ever you want to call it, there was a small 7, 8 questionnaire you had to do. When it asked me the question, I had to remember back or go back through that section and try to locate, the answer to that question. Keep also the question and the way that it's written in that chapter is two different things. They use different wording to throw you off. And I always had difficulty comprehending things. This was back when I was in, elementary school. Um, it has gotten better for me now that I'm much older. but I had difficulty in the reading department, probably even well into my, early middle teenage years as well. So, but school wound up being a difficult thing for me. Um, it got to the point to where I eventually just dropped out. I said, I'm not going to do this anymore. Here I am trying to learn an education. I was dealing with peer pressure, the students in my class being the way they were. I'm trying to get an education. I couldn't do that. So I dropped out of high school in the ninth grade. And 3 years went by. And that's when I opted, okay, I myself am going to go down and I'm going to get my high school diploma. So what I wound up doing is I went one day and they gave you like a pre-test GED. It's not the actual test, but it was to give you an idea or a feel of what the actual test was. So I went down and took it. I scored great in everything. Of course, the reading comprehension came back lower end, and the math a little on the lower end side of things. So I was told, go home, study these two particular subjects, and then you can go and take the actual test. Well, I had the GED uh, study book that's about yay thick, that you can buy in bookstores. So I opened it up and I read the introduction to the literature comprehension section. I read one page and I flip it over and I read the second half. And I said, you know what? I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to read this. I'm not going to do this. I'm just going to go down, take the GED. Let's see what happens. So I went and took the GED. I went 2 different mornings. I took, uh, like 3 sections of it. And then I went back 2 days later and I finished up the remaining 2. I think there was a total of like 5 or 6 subjects altogether. Can't exactly recall. So I did that, and the next thing I know, about a month later, I'm waiting for the results, and I go and check my mail. I go and open up the mailbox. There's the results. I open it up. I take the result out of the thing that it came in, and I passed it the first time. Um, I did score 5 points above the minimum, which I thought was great. It just goes to show that me going to private school, because I went a couple of years Catholic school, and then I went to another type of school that was like a Baptist based, where you taught yourself. You go in, nothing but partitions left and right. You're sitting down, looking at a wall, and you're basically teaching yourself. If you needed help, you had it. So, what I'm basically trying to say is a lot of people, as I was coming up, said I couldn't amount or do anything. Well, I proved a lot of people wrong. Pretty much all of them, if all of them. Um, so, I've come a long way, and all the people that proved me wrong, well, I know this one particular person that is related to me by marriage. I was told that I could never go to private school, Catholic school, as a matter of fact, because it was below my standard. Well, I went to Catholic school, and this was about 2.5 years back. I'm sitting there, this person is off to my right, and I said that I had passed the GED the first time. He spoke up and said, "Oh, you passed the GED the first time." He stayed quiet for about 25, 30 seconds. And I knew right then and there my goal was accomplished because, you know, I proved him wrong. And when I got up to go get a glass of water, I had a smile that was so big because I knew, you know, that was a hurdle. So the people that proved me wrong, no, live it up. Never underestimate anybody. Well, everyone, I just wanted to come on tell you that, and I hope you guys have a great remainder of your day. And I will see you guys in the near future. So be on the lookout. Talk to you later. Bye.